go ahead and
come to a decision on how you're going to handle pitching. It looked like, at least on Wade's release, looked like John, then Tyler, but
John will pitch tomorrow, and then we'll play him one at a time from there. He'll pitch the first one. Yep, that's where we're comfortable at, and he's pitched the first game most every single time out, and been a great Friday night pitcher, so he'll stay in that role this week, and we'll play him one by one. That's how we've really gone about it all year. How we've used the bullpen in games 1 and 2 is determined sometimes game 3, and this particular week we'll play game 1 and see where we're at.
You've had a chance too to look at them. It looks like they're going to go with the lefty on Friday and come back with Morales on Saturday.
That's what I believe they're doing. They've announced Surrey tomorrow and Morales in the second game, so yeah, that's probably more, I would assume, based on the length of their first tournament and then traveling and getting those guys rested up.
What's Surrey look like?
He's a good pitcher. He's skilled. He knows what he's doing. He's, I think, a crafty, skilled performer that pitches to his strengths and knows who he is. They obviously have a lot of trust in him. They brought him in to get the final out in the championship game. So probably just a confident young man with a lot of know-how. And, you know, we respect him, and we've seen pitchers like him. So we'll go to preparing for him like we have all year against a young man that does the things that he does to be successful.
Called this weekend kind of a turning point with the program. I heard the other night. Did you expect this to happen this quickly, and what's it feel like now that you're almost there?
Well, it was a turning point just from the sense that you felt the energy in the stadium and amongst our OSU family really behind you in a strong, strong way. That's what I was making reference to. As far as our team, this is another opportunity for us to be together and play ball. I don't look at it as anything more or less than that. I think you have to keep the same routine and same outlook on how you play. If you were to change that outlook or make it seem to mean more than it really does, you may find yourself outside of your comfort zone or your approach. So as we've talked all week, it's another week, and our goal is to win the week. And that's really been all we've tried to do all year long. And you win them one day at a time by preparing in practice, and then you win them one pitch at a time in the game. So we're looking forward very much to taking the field tomorrow night in front of a sold-out crowd and playing baseball together. And we'll live that moment one at a time and see where we're at.
Saulyer, a lot of talk about this being done so early. I mean, for some of you guys, this needed to happen, or it wasn't going to happen. Talk about the satisfaction of seeing this thing go as far as it's going for you older guys.
It's pretty awesome that I was able to experience it this shortly, and it's just awesome with this group of guys, and to extend this far and just to keep playing with these guys and to be a part of this team another day is just it's pretty awesome.
Your role too, absolutely, maybe as unselfish as anybody on the ball club, with the way you've moved runners around and sacrificed yourself throughout the postseason and the regular season.
I mean, I think that's just everybody buying into the team concept. I think there's a lot of guys that do the same. Donnie does the same. Aaron Cornell is probably the best team player on the team. The guy's not in the lineup every day, but he's always got the most energy. And when he gets in there, he does his job.
Coach, did you see any value playing another Big West team after you just saw Fullerton coming back here with Irvine, or is it just another opponent? It's obviously a different brand of baseball out on the West.
Yeah, they're because I think they have to try to beat each other. They probably are skilled in defending and executing against each other. They do have, as you mentioned, style play. Hall of Fame coach and Coach Gillespie, some skilled performers. So sometimes based on geographics and the nature of play in certain areas, you do feel a little bit of reflection in that, how people defend the bunt, how people bunt, run bases. I think these California ball clubs take tremendous pride in the fundamentals of the game, and they spend a lot of time practicing them, and they spend a lot of time defending them in practice. So they're very good at those things. It's probably much like Big 12 football. If you can't defend the pass, you're probably in trouble playing against a Big 12 team, right? So in baseball, it's the same. There's different conferences and styles of play, and we've seen the San Diegos of the world, who are a very well-coached West Coast team earlier. We saw Arizona State, who's a very well-coached West Coast team. We saw Fullerton, and now we're seeing Irvine. So we're seeing some of the real class programs of the West Coast that are known for high-end baseball. And I think that regular season schedule and the regional schedule have prepared us for this type of competition.
Gage, does it give you guys confidence knowing you guys were able to go after Cal State Fullerton's pitching staff, facing a similar challenge this week?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you have such a good pitching staff like that, you just really got to stay with your approach, like Josh tells us each and every day. Win the pitch, we don't worry about who they are. We just worry about, you know, like staying with our approach, executing. I mean, if we do our thing, execute what we're supposed to do, I mean, we're going to be a hard team to stop offensively. So, but it is reassuring to know that you're executing so well against a good pitching staff like Fullerton. So we're just going to stay with the same approach and take it against UC Irvine.
Gage, you're in the middle of the order, so to speak, and I was talking to Craig McConaughey the other day, and he was talking about Connor Costello batting ahead of him and how many home runs he's hit. And I said, well, yeah, you're protecting him. And he just laughed because, yeah, I guess I am kind of in a way because he's hitting really well. But this is a 1 through 9 order. Did you ever feel like at the beginning of the year that this would become as proficient 1 to 9 as it has?
I mean, I knew we had the guys to do it. It's a matter of us all going at the same time, hitting that well at the same time is pretty special for us to do, because usually, you know, you got some guys like during the season that'll be really hot or some guys are slumping, but the fact that we're all just kind of working together right now is one of the reasons why we're hitting so well and being able to execute so good on offense. But yeah, it's really fun to watch all the guys feeling really comfortable with their swing and just going up there with a lot of confidence.
This is both for you and Saulyer, because it's important. When you're facing teams you haven't seen out of the Big 12, pitchers you haven't seen, you've got a good scouting report on them, but how important is the communication when you come back to the dugout, the talk between hitters on here's what I saw, here's the way it breaks? Talk about that importance.
I think that it's pretty important because, I mean, on film you see how stuff looks, but it's important to see from the hitter's perspective, and I think that everybody does a nice job with that. After they're at bat, they come back and they give feedback. The guy's living away, he's staying away, he's just trying to nibble or whatever, and how much his curveball, the shape of his curveball. So I think it's a pretty important thing, and I think that we do it really well, and I think that's why we're able to connect our at-bats.
So, I mean, especially Saul being leadoff, he's got the hardest part at the beginning of the game, going up there trying to get as many pitches out of him. He does a great job for all us behind him. So when he sees about 7 to 8 pitches in his first at-bat and tells us all what it is, I mean, that's why we're hitting so good early in the game, because Saul's giving us the feedback of what the pitcher's doing, how's the ball moving, and stuff like that. So, yeah, Saul does a great job relaying that information before we go up there.
Coach, a lot of times you see, regardless of what the sport is, that a team doesn't get the seeding they want. You guys thought maybe you should have been a top 8 national seed, but then they go out and don't even deliver. You saw all these home teams lose over the weekend. What's your takeaway from so many of the home teams not being able to close the deal, and how do you use that as a teaching moment for your team?
Well, it's probably best put that just shows the competition is settled on the field between the players, and the seeds and all those things are calculated with a lot of effort and a lot of data, but the kids decide the games on the field, and the team that's the most focused and in the moment has a great chance to win this time of year. And whether it's 4 seeds that are advancing and 1 seeds that are losing, or whatever the case may be, home teams, road teams, it just goes to show that some of that stuff is, while it is nice to be at home, it's not a guarantee. And while being seated high is maybe a reflection of what you did all year, it's no guarantee on that day that there's any extra points to you, right? So just play the game. I think our guys did a great job over that week of hearing the pairings, of adjusting their mindset and really just embracing the moment. That's all we've talked about. And the gentleman asked a question earlier about, can all this happen? We've never even talked about any goal all year other than getting better. Have we ever spoke about anything other than that? We just try to get better that day and live in the moment, and that's all we tried to do. I think sometimes people get ahead of themselves and they lose sight of what got you here, or they lose sight of the approach that worked for them. And our guys just lined up last weekend and competed really hard, and we didn't really follow anyone else's results other than some of my good friends and people I care about. I always follow how they're doing because they're friends in coaching, but not until Monday night, when that game was on TV and determined what we needed to do the next morning, did we really spend any effort worrying about that. So just take care of your own business and embrace the opportunity you have, because it's the cards you're dealt, and play them well. So our guys were really good about that, and a lot of parity in college baseball, compliment to a lot of schools that have gotten serious about baseball that maybe 5 to 10 years ago weren't. And so a lot of good teams popping up all over the place.
Josh, you guys have handled the 14 bracket fairly well in the Big 12. you dipped into the losers bracket but fought through it. Last week you went through clean. Now you're back to the 3-game series, which you guys have mastered. How much confidence comes from the way you did that throughout the Big 12 season leading into this 3-game series?
Well, my confidence in the team is based on the kids and who they are. And really, I say that because we've talked all year about making good decisions. We've talked about the importance of rest, focus, nutrition, taking care of each other. Those are the elements that allow you to play well for 3 straight days. We changed our training regimen this past winter to train 3 days on and 1 day off to try to simulate the challenges that your body goes through for 3 days versus 2 on, 1 off. So I draw confidence in them because I trust them. They've prepared themselves for this all year long by working hard, and they have their legs under them for 3 straight days. They understand that mentally we have to be ready for 3 straight days. And I think that's a mindset as much as it is anything else. And we've not let a bad moment bring us down to where it affected the next day, and we haven't let one win make us feel like it changes our outlook for the next day. So I'm comfortable and confident in the kids because I know where they're at mentally, and I know the time and effort they've put in, and I think they're very confident too. And it's just it's a sense of being prepared that I think you go into each weekend with. So I think that was something they earned and created for themselves by how hard they worked getting ready for the year.
Josh, the Fullerton coach of the day, when someone asked him about y'all coming back on him in that last game, he said that's Oklahoma State's attitude. He says that's the way they used to be. Was that the first thing when you got here a year ago that you said, we need to kind of rekindle the way we felt around here in the 70s and 80s and 90s? Was that a big deal to you?
Well, John, I think the big deal to all of us was just this program and working at it every single day, little by little, to make it the best place possible for the people inside of it. And that started with the players. Saul was one of the first kids I met when I got hired. And I think when your coaching staff comes together, you just focus on the kids and what can we do for them today to make this place better than when we woke up. And I think over time the attitude is formed because people see each other investing and working hard. And the pride our groundskeeper has in this field is inspiring. How many times have we looked at the field and said, look at that? If someone spends that kind of time and energy making this place special, how can we not live up to our part to play with that type of same detail and pride and the effort put in by the staff and the people that care about these kids? So I think attitude is formed day after day by those that are around and that are a reflection to the players of what this is about. And I don't think that was a great compliment by Coach Vanderhook, but what I told the team is that's not just something that you turn on and off. It's something they created by who they are every day. And this team has their own attitude. And if it's reflective of winning and something that people associate with other great teams, that's a great compliment. But these kids are different. You know, this group of kids is doing something that the teams in the 1980s didn't do. These guys went and won the Big 12. You know, at one point this year, I think we played 23 games against Texas, Oklahoma, TCU, and Arizona State. I mean, this group of kids have lined up and played some very challenging opponents, and they've done some different things. And as grand and awesome as these walls are and what those guys did, these guys' story for me is just as great. And I'm just as proud of what they've done as anything any team here has ever done, because it's their team, and that's what makes it special. So, like I said, I think attitude is just a reflection of all of the people that make up this program, and that change in attitude is a credit to everybody that cares about what we're doing.
Gage, I was going to kind of joke, it's probably easier to appreciate the grounds crew out in the outfield rather than it is looking behind that mask behind home plate. But how much of a difference has that made for you, Brian's emergence, him being able to take over the catching role, and you're getting to get back out in the outfield, maybe being a little fresher at the plate? I don't know.
I mean, Brian's done a great job. He's done good all year. Even when he wasn't getting as many reps behind the plate, he was still treating every day like the same. He's done really well offensively and defensively. But he's hitting down that bottom of the order, and like you said, like 1 through 9, there's no holes in there. So he's proven to be a really tough out down the bottom of the order. But for him getting to catch a lot, it's making it a lot easier, I guess, on my legs. I guess for that, like you said, being fresher. But I mean, whether I am catching or playing outfield, I mean, it doesn't really matter, just because I mean you got to stay with the same approach, just try to win the pitch each and every time. But yeah, BC's been doing really good back there, and just a guy we really look to just keep us going.
For either of you players. Coach talks about, the program's about you guys, it's about the players, but what would be like a tangible example or something that really means a lot to you guys as players, the way Coach and the rest of the coaching staff deal with you, things they make important, maybe a specific example that you had as an individual?
I think it's just about how much they care about you as a person each and every day. He talks about discipline a lot. Discipline on the field, off the field. You can't just decide when you're going to be disciplined. And I think that the attitude we put out on the field is the attitude that the coaches have. I mean, we kind of just a reflection of them. And I think that that's just the way they go about their business every day. They're passionate about the game. And, I mean, that's just kind of the way we play the game, too. That's all we know now.
Yeah, they bring energy every day to the field. I mean, sometimes you think you're getting a repetition, like for practice and stuff. You think you're just gonna do the same thing over and over, but we learn new stuff each and every day. All the coaches bring excitement, energy, and it just makes it that much more fun to play with them and just be around the team.
Coach, for those of us who aren't from here or in Big 12 country, give us a sense of what this Big 12 season was like, because K-State team that almost went to Omaha last year had, just was always dangerous. Baylor's a team that, always is a praying power. They don't make the NCAA, but you guys were number 2 in RPI, but then the conference backed it up in the NCAAs as well, and that's
well, it was a great challenge all year, and thankfully it was, because those weekends prepared us for the challenges the postseason have offered. I think each team in our conference has something unique about them that makes them hard to play. Texas Tech could really hit. You think back to that series, they were tough to play. TCU had tremendous pitching staff and very athletic players on the field, so you had to defend the stolen base and the bunt. They had 3 All-American pitchers on their pitching staff, so that series prepared us for, say, a Fullerton. Texas continues to have tremendous performers and certainly high-end pitching. You talked about a Kansas team that was extremely hot and played really good baseball down the stretch. They were a little bit of everything. I think a scrappy, feisty team that did a number of things well. We had to play University of Oklahoma that I think, throw the record out the window, had really talented players up and down the roster, and I believe we played them, how many times did we play them? 5? 7. 7 times. So familiarity, scouting reports, having to prepare for an opponent that knew everything there was to know about you and vice versa. So our conference challenged us in many ways. Some road trips where there was challenging. The Texas venue's fun place to play, but difficult because it's gigantic and turf and more fans than you're used to playing. So our conference did exactly what it's supposed to do. It challenged us every week to grow as a team, to handle the new week and the challenges that came with it. And so Big 12 baseball's strong, and I think it's great for our conference that people are recognizing that now with, I guess, 4 teams still playing. So I've been saying it for 2 years. I coached in the SEC, ACC, and Pac-12, and there's absolutely nothing that this conference doesn't possess that's right there with those other 3 that so often get mentioned.
Josh, do you ever, I'm sure in the off season you think about facilities and this stadium, but do you ever think about it during the season, or is that something you just leave to Coach Holder and figure he'll let you know, hey, okay, maybe we're doing something now? I mean, is it facilities?
Well, every day I think about what can we do to make OSU the best baseball program in the country. That's what I wake up thinking about. It's usually what I fall asleep thinking about. And I'm 100% at peace knowing that every effort is always made to give us a great chance to win. And we're thankful for what we do have, John. And I'm proud of these walls. I'm proud to put those All-Americans up this week. I'm proud of the field. I'm proud of everything that we have. And if over the course of time something new comes along, then we'll be embracing that too. But in the meantime, we're living in the moment, and my job is to make sure the kids that play here right now wake up and feel like gold, and we feel like we have the things necessary to make that a reality for them every single day. So I don't wish for anything. If that's part of our future, great. But we're proud of what we do have, and we're proving right now that it doesn't take something fancy to put an awesome team together. It just takes the right people, the right culture. And this place held up awfully good last week, and I hope there's so many people here tomorrow that it falls down. That'd be awesome. People are clapping and stomping and everything, but I mean, we're like anyone, John. We want to be the best, and we're going to keep working towards that every single day. But I don't think you have to have a fancy place to have a fantastic team. And so yeah, we're grateful for everything we do have.
Coach, I'm sure you've heard from a lot of alums over the past week and even before as the season's progressed? And not just people jumping back on the bandwagon, but that are happy with that you guys are doing it the right way, the Oklahoma State way. Can you share any of that with just, you don't need to mention specific names, but just anything that really struck you that you've heard some feedback?
To hear from Robin Ventura, for a major league manager to take time out of his day to text you and tell you how excited he is for your team. He came out and saw us play in Arizona this year during spring training. Remember that Manhattan game? We were losing 8-0 in the second or third inning. We rallied back to win, and I went up and talked to him, and I said, boy, what do you think? He goes, He goes, young, you guys will get better. And he's followed us all year, and for him to be watching us that close means the world to me. That guy's my hero. Countless others that have texted, called, emailed, donated, shown up, you name it. You know, any type of following, whether it's from a distance or in person, means a lot to us, because as I've told everybody, them being emotionally involved for these guys is what this is about. And I want these guys, when they leave here, to follow everything that ever happens with this program forever. And if they do that, then we got something real special, because that means these guys are forever connected to what it meant to play baseball here. And that's how I feel about having played here, and I want them to feel the same way.
On a more personal note, I've sat next to your dad at Stillwater High School games watching you and your brother play quarterback in football, and obviously, you know, the baseball part of it. What kind of correspondence have you had with him over the last couple of weeks? Because he knows what's going on here pretty intimately.
You know, our family, you don't have to talk about it to know what's going on. I know how proud they are. So usually when they call, they want to know how their grandkids are, and they're excited to see Brady picking up bats or Olivia in the stands. But I just am so lucky to have a family that's always with us, always. Whether it's in the season, out of the season, when you're having success, when you're not having success, they're always there, always. And so not much to talk about. I know they're proud, and that's good enough.
Can you hear from Matt pretty regularly?
He's pretty daily. Yep. He gets bored in those hotel rooms late at night, and he's reading and following. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't roll in here one day in a private jet if they get a game over with soon enough just to see this, because he's thrilled. This is this is his home too, and this is something that was what he was raised on too. So it's really cool for him to see what's going on with us here.
For the players, was there any moment this year when you knew it was going to be a special season, when you knew like things were starting to click? Or did you even know preseason, or did you even know when last year ended that it was going to be a great year the following year? Like when did you have a handle on how this was going to play out or could play out?
I think that we always thought we had a special team, and we always had the chemistry. We went on a retreat in the fall, and everybody just kind of meshed together, and we realized that we had a special team, and everybody kind of bonded. And I mean, we always knew we had kind of the talent if we strung it together at the right time. I can't really think of a time during the season where it just like clicked. I think it just gradually, we just kind of, I don't know.
Maybe
Can you think of one?
Maybe a teammate who stepped up into if there was a big question mark in the lineup or in the pitching staff, something that kind of came into focus.
I think John stepped up, and that was big for us. John stepped up and became the Friday night guy. That was huge. Tim Arakawa started stepping up, and he came through with clutch hit after clutch hit. TK's been stepping up. I think it's just every individual kind of is pulling their own weight, and that's kind of getting us to the right spot. Can you think of a time?
I think the highlight for us, I think, is after we lost the second game against Baylor, we just kind of had like a little meeting. It was like, hey, just relax. Like we're a good team. We just gotta just play like it. Just don't worry about what people are saying. The only people you need to think about your teammates, because those are the guys you go to war with every day. So I think after we won that third game against Baylor, it was a 3-hour rain delay. And we just kind of chilled throughout the game, and we were down too during the rain delay, and we ended up coming back and winning. Then the next TCU game, you know, we had a tough loss, and then the second game, Tim hits a walk-off, and then we just right then, I guess, kind of when Tim hit that walk-off, we just kind of, you know, we started that season over, because I remember Saul had a meeting with us, and he just said, let's start the season over right now. That third game against Baylor, we're going to start it over right now and start from then. And I think ever since we had that little meeting and everyone just kind of, you know, just talked to each other, just everyone put their problems out on the table, everyone's thinking the same thing. It just relaxed everyone, and it really got us going, I think, right there.
That it?
Very good. Thanks.